Hi, you're listening to It Happened to Me, a rare disease and medical challenges podcast. The mission of our podcast is to support you, our listeners, and to create community as you confront the toughest challenges in life. All of us will experience health hardships. The real question is how we adapt. That's the focus of It Happened to Me, which wants to help you overcome limitations and live a full and satisfying life. Drawing on their own health challenges, co-hosts Kathy Gildenhorn and Beth Glassman interview guests who share stories and research to help you succeed in the face of difficult health obstacles. It happened to me. I'm not alone, and neither are you.
In the last episode of It Happened to Me, we spoke with Marc Bassin about his hearing loss, his tinnitus, and his decision to undergo surgery for a cochlear implant. Marc has graciously agreed to come back on the show to provide us insight into his cochlear implant surgery and his recovery. Now, if you haven't, pause this interview, go back and listen to episode number 36. That's Marc's last episode on It Happened to Me, and you'll hear his thoughts pre-surgery.
Marc has a professional career in commercial real estate, and he's a jock. He bikes 7,000 miles a year, and you can find him on a pickleball court, a golf course, or skiing. As a matter of fact, he's just returned from a ski holiday. So it was quite shocking when someone so healthy and fit should suddenly lose his hearing in one ear. Today, we are going to speak with Marc about his journey from that day to the present. Welcome back, Marc, and thank you for joining us on It Happened to Me. Now, for those who missed the last episode or need a refresher, Marc, what happened to you that day in October when you lost your hearing in one ear?
So on October 26th, 2019, I was on a bike trip in Big Bend National Park, and we decided, a small group of us, that we would come back to Washington, D.C. to go to the Nationals Game 5 World Series game. So we hopped on a plane to Midland, Texas, flew back to D.C., and when I got off of the plane, I had no hearing in my left ear, none whatsoever.
And so why did you decide to just pursue medical attention?
Well, I think like most people that would get off an airplane, you would think, oh my gosh, I have airplane ear, which,
Right.
A lot of people get,
Sure.
because obviously the pressure of being at that kind of altitude and then coming down to, sea level or whatever the case is, that puts a lot of pressure on the eardrum. And so, this particular case, I had a cold. So I thought, okay, I have typical airplane ear. I can't hear from it. I went to the game that night, and of course, they lost. The next day, I went to the emergency room, and they looked in my ear at the emergency room and told me to go to the pharmacy and buy some Afrin and some Sudafed, and I would be fine because my ear looked totally normal. So a couple days went by. I then decided to go to an ENT. I walked into the ENT's office. She looked into my ear and said the same thing. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your ear. There's a possibility that you might have sensorineural sudden hearing loss. I then made an appointment with a doctor at Johns Hopkins. I went in to see the doctor at Johns Hopkins. He looked in my ear and he said, it's done. You will never regain hearing in that ear again. And this was literally after 1 second. I mean, it couldn't have been more than 1 or 2 seconds. He looked in my ear and told me that. And he told me that you have sensorineural sudden hearing loss. And that's why the ear looks completely normal, because the area that's been infected is in the cochlea. And the cochlea is inside your skull. And so when an ear looks normal like this, but you lose hearing, those 15,000 little hairs that are in the cochlea that produce all the hearing and all those signals that are sent to the brain have essentially died. So after going to Johns Hopkins, I went to hyperbaric chambers. I did some panic steroid injections, which were very interesting, by the way.
Mm.
I also tried some antivirals. The hyperbaric chambers, I sat in for 40 hours, 2 hours a day for, with 20 out for 20
Oh,
days.
Mm.
So I went through, everything. I did everything I possibly could to try to
Yeah.
obviously try to regain the hearing in my left ear. On top of losing the hearing in my left ear, I also suffered tremendously from tinnitus. I think the tinnitus was actually worse than the hearing loss. And as the time went by from October 26th to 4 years later, the tinnitus never got better. As a matter of fact, it probably amplified over the years. And
Oh.
so that was one of the reasons why I decided to get a cochlear implant, almost 4 years later.
So you ended up having this surgery, and I think I should take a brief pause and say that this surgery is for someone who is in the position that you are, where there is no hope. So there is no hearing aid that is going to help you. This is a last resort surgery. Would you just say that? Would you agree with that?
100%. So there was no
Yeah.
way I was ever. So I had a little what they call residual hearing in my left ear. Residual hearing. There was very little, if anything, that I could hear through my left ear. So some of the hearing aids that I tried were called cross, where it would pick up sound from the left side and by Bluetooth connection send it to the right side, so that you're processing everything off the right side that's coming
Yeah.
from the left side. So yeah, no, there is no other solution to getting the hearing
This
back.
is
This is it. That's all there
this
is.
so this is it. So you ended up having this surgery, and I wondered if you could tell us what it was like. What does this surgery do?
So the surgery, wow, it's a 2.5 to 3 hour surgery.
Mm.
And so what they do is they cut along the back of your ear. In my particular case, it would be my left ear. And then they drill a hole in the mastoid bone, which is part of your skull, and they drill all the way to the cochlea, and then they drop a processor in, and then they cut up along your scalp right above your ear, and they implant a processor underneath the scalp. So that's what the surgery consists of. It's outpatient surgery. Like I said, it takes
wow.
2.5 to 3 hours, and you're home. You're back.
And
at
how
home.
does it restore hearing?
So, what it does is the processor sends electrical impulses to the auditory nerve, and the auditory nerve learns how to basically process that sound. So your ear is learning how to hear again, almost like you're being reborn again.
Oh, wow.
So
And your
yeah,
brain. So you're training your brain.
Brain.
In effect.
you're training your brain through
Yes.
electrical impulses, as opposed to through an eardrum.
Right.
So it's almost like relearning how to hear. It's relearning how to hear again.
It's
Yes.
relearning. Yeah.
Yes.
That makes, wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable stuff, Mark, that you've gone through. And were there any unexpected moments or emotions that stood out to you during the process?
Well, interestingly enough, I think I told you in the first episode that, being deaf in the left ear and suffering with the tinnitus, it was like whenever I would go into a social environment, it was like being alone. So that's the time being alone. You go to a wedding, you go to a bar mitzvah, you go to a restaurant, anywhere you go, it was like you were alone because you can't process anything that's going on around you, and there's all this ambient noise. the only thing I could relate to was the person on my right who would be speaking to me directly. So the
Right.
emotions of being alone were terrible. So this, the process or potentially getting some hearing back in my left ear was something that I was really looking forward to, because I suffered through so much emotional trauma during that 4 years. I figured I had nothing to lose at this point. How could
Hmm.
it possibly be any worse than this? So
Yeah.
that was one of the major decisions why I decided to get the cochlear implant.
And how was the surgical recovery process? How were you the day after the surgery versus now that it's been a few months?
I got to tell you, looking back on it now, the first couple of days were rough. Obviously, the site where they drill the hole into your skull and the incision were painful. But
Yeah.
other than that, it was really nothing. I mean,
Hmm.
I tried to avoid the opioids,
Mm.
Of
which
course, I'd hope
wasn't,
so.
try to get ahead of the pain, which wasn't so successful the first couple of days because you can't sleep, and obviously you
Oh.
can't put your head on a pillow. But then there's a fair amount of pain around the incision site for sure. There's some pain in your skull. Um, there's some pain in your jaw. Obviously, your body is, you know, it's a lot. I mean, if you
Well,
think
it's a
about that,
major invasion. I mean, this
Yeah,
is a major surgery. Yeah.
it was. But at any rate, I was ready to get back on my bike about 3 or 4 days later.
My
really.
goodness.
No.
My goodness. Isn't that great?
I,
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
believe it.
wonderful.
Yeah. So yes, yeah, after the first couple of days it was pretty rough, but after that, it really wasn't much, to be honest with you. I mean, look, old people get this, young people get this, kids get this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not an uncommon surgery. So
Right.
I was pretty fortunate, I think, and I had a pretty easy recovery. Now getting used to the cochlear implant and the sound that comes from it, that's a whole other ball game.
Well, that is exactly what I wanted to ask you. So, in actuality, what we're talking about is a two-step process. You have the surgery, that's the first step. And we've now taken us through that. A couple rough days, but then smooth sailing.
Yep.
But then comes the second part. And it sounds like this is the tough part. And that is the hearing, actually activating the hearing or doing what they call mapping. So, can you share with us a little bit about what that is? What is mapping?
So yes,
And
let me. Well, first, so I did have the implant on September 14th. Now, and I was activated 30 days later, actually on
30
October
days. Okay,
30
1 month.
days.
Uh-huh.
Now you'll hear people being activated within 2 weeks, and you'll hear people that are activated within 3 weeks. But my particular surgeon, who's a John Hopkins surgeon, wanted to wait 4 weeks. So it was exactly
Uh-huh.
4 weeks, and
Okay.
I had it activated. And so when they first activated it, it was absolutely mind blowing because I had no expectations of what it would sound like. And
Ah,
we can get into this a little bit later, but the sound through a cochlear implant and the natural sound through your ear are completely two different things.
yeah.
I mean, a cochlear implant is nowhere near the same as natural hearing. So what they do in mapping is basically an audiologist will do a series of beeps and they'll measure your response to those beeps. And they have settings called T settings and C settings, and that's all there is. T is the softest and C is the loudest. And so you go back every 3 or 4 weeks, depending on your audiologist, to set those T and C levels. When they first put it on, I said, this is way too loud. And they go, no, it's not. This is the way we want to start it. So they started out super loud,
Uh-huh.
and it's just, I just had no idea what to expect. And A lot of people say it sounds like Minnie Mouse on helium. A lot of people say it
Huh.
sounds like Darth Vader on helium, but it's very, very robotic. It does not sound anything like I expected it. And in hindsight, I wish that was something I knew more about.
Oh,
And
that's good to know.
that is really good. Does it in any way over time become something that your brain accepts more and you're able to process in a way that it isn't so intrusive a sound? Is it become more auditory?
It's yes. First of all, so again, 4 weeks. Um I wear it 24 hours a day, seven
Hmm.
days a week, every waking moment I possibly can wear it. And yes, I've gotten more used to it. Um, and I would imagine over time it'll just continue to get better and better and better. But will it ever be the same as natural hearing? I just can't imagine it would. Um, So yeah, I mean, it's something I'm going to learn to live with, and it's something that's going to take a long time to get accustomed to, but I'm going to adapt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this
And
is what I wonder if it's like learning a new language, Mark.
yeah, well, so some of the therapy that I know, there's lots of therapy. The therapy that I find most useful is something called immersion reading,
Mm.
whereby you read a book and listen to it at the same
At the
time,
same time. Mm-hmm.
Ah,
and it highlights what you're reading in the book as it's
ah.
reading the book. So I'm streaming directly to the cochlear implant while I'm reading it. And I have found that to be really good. So I'll also do podcasts, I'll also do music. So I try to expose myself to every possible environment that I can expose myself to. I never take it off for anything.
Wow.
It doesn't matter if I go to a hockey game, a basketball game, I'm playing pickle, whatever I'm doing, I'm wearing it. Because you want to expose yourself to much as you possibly can and just live your life with it so that you can adapt to all different sounds and all different environments.
So, can I just go back for a minute to this mapping? So, the
Hmm?
only thing you hear are beeps. Is that correct? Or do you hear sentences? Would
Have
they
you ever
do
gone?
Mary
Have you
had a
ever?
little
Yeah.
lamb
Have you
or
ever gone to an audiologist where they put something in your ear and they'll play specific sounds for you? You've been to an
no?
audiologist to have your hearing tested, right?
Yeah.
So this
No.
is very similar, but they're playing a series of beeps, and then they
Uh-huh.
see how you react to the beeps, and that's the way they go ahead and map the device. It's not like they can, hey, I'll give you more treble, I'll give you more. Yeah,
That's what I
I want to
wondered.
try. Yeah, it's
No,
nothing like that because
I
your
see.
brain is hearing nothing but these electrical impulses, and so the only way to get accustomed to it is to just keep exposing yourself to it.
I
Just
see.
the more exposure, the better. The more therapy you can do, the more exposure you can give yourself to every environment, the better. It's just you go out and live your life, but just wear it. Don't take it off.
Well, that sounds like great advice. I wanted to ask you, there are some known side effects to this surgery, and I wonder if you've had any of those. I've heard about a metallic taste in the mouth, or it can affect your jaw. Did you have any of those side
Oh
effects?
my God. I have the metallic taste in my mouth. I'm told it's going to go away.
Uh-huh.
I don't even, I love food. I mean, we all love food, but everything, even water, everything has a metallic taste to it. And I have,
I see.
and I have a voracious appetite, which I still have, but nothing tastes good. Everything tastes
Um,
metallic. And then the other thing is I have a major jaw alignment issue, which I'm hoping will obviously correct itself. But when I close my jaw, the right side of my teeth close, but the left side doesn't. There's a space.
huh. Huh.
But the metallic taste is very common. Jaw pain after surgery is very common, obviously. But the jaw realignment isn't, a typical side effect, but I definitely have it.
So I just
Definitely.
want to remind our listeners that we are just what 3, 4 months post surgery. So, it is very possible in 6 to 9 months, these side effects may diminish greatly.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Um,
Now, speaking
so
though of being 6 to 9 months out from the surgery, what are your expectations of how your hearing will continue to change over the next several months?
Well, I'm hopeful it just continues to get better and better and better. Now that the reality is that I know that the hearing through a cochlear implant and hearing naturally are two completely different things. Now, I've heard people say, oh, I can hear, as well, in my implanted ear as I can from my good ear. I mean, look, I was only activated October 14th, so November, December, just, I'm 3 months out.
right.
So I'm tremendously optimistic that it'll continue to get better and better and better. I mean, I'm able to go to a movie and actually, hear. I'm able to
Oh,
watch TV and
Oh,
actually,
oh,
which
that's
I
great.
never able to do before.
Oh,
So I have one advantage that a lot of people don't have, when they get cochlear implants, is I have a good ear.
yes.
So when you combine the two, it's nearly a miracle. I mean, to be
and
able to,
okay, has your tinnitus improved post surgery?
well, the beautiful thing about the cochlear implant is you wear it all the time. When you're wearing it, there's no tinnitus,
Really?
Oh,
none.
that's great.
That's
So
an
what?
incentive to wear it
Oh,
all the time.
yes.
Well, yeah, I don't really need an incentive to wear it. I mean, here it is right here, as you can see. This is it.
Oh, wow.
So little. Look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is the microphone, and then this is connected to my head by a magnet, and that's it. So it's not uncomfortable to wear. It's not heavy or anything like that. So it's not that intrusive, at least for
And
me.
it
It's not that.
blends right into your hair. I mean,
Well,
you
Yeah.
can't see it.
No,
it's
you
let
can't see it.
yeah,
So,
but
Mark, after major surgery of any kind, I think we all need some sort of support. I wonder what did you find was helpful after your surgery?
well, I have an incredible support group.
Isn't
I
that
have a
great?
lot of friends. I have a large family. I have a large network of people that I know. But when you have something like this, you guys know you go at it alone, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
And so it's a function of building a lot of inner strength and doing the things that are necessary to try to make it better. When I first got it, I tried transcendental meditation and I tried, sound machines and tried yoga. You try every alternative method in the book. But having a large support group is critical. But you're going at it alone. I mean,
Hmm.
it's you, and you're the one out there living with it every day. And so, you just have to have a strong constitution, and you have to have a lot of confidence in yourself and a lot of confidence in your ability to deal with, you know, anything like this.
Now, I
Um,
wonder if you face misconceptions from people that people thought you were going to
it's
have this
it,
done and your hearing would be fixed. You were going to
you,
be perfect.
the misconceptions,
Yes.
I feel for the children that have this and have to go to school with other children, because you can
Yeah.
only imagine what the other children say when they see a kid with this. But I'm not facing any sort of misconceptions or scorn or anything like that. Um I just feel for the young kids that have them, and it's interestingly enough, the only people that have ever said anything to me are kids that either
Hmm.
have them or have friends that have them. Very few adults have cochlear implants,
Hmm.
Hmm.
very few. Um, but lots of children get them because they're born this way. They're born
Yeah.
without hearing. So, if unless you can define misconceptions differently, or challenges. I mean, look, life's a challenge. when you add something like this, it's just another challenge in life.
Is the mapping any different for a child that's never been able to hear versus someone that's lost their hearing?
I would imagine, oh my gosh, can you imagine a child getting a cochlear implant and hearing for the first time?
I mean, incredible. And
Right.
not knowing that they're not hearing natural sound.
Yes, but that's their normal.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
They don't know
Right?
anything
So,
else. They don't
so
know
what's
anything
the
else.
difference if
Yeah.
somebody sounds like Minnie Mouse or Darth Vader? That they're hearing.
Yeah.
They never heard
That's
before in
what
their
they're,
lives,
yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who is getting ready to have this surgery?
well, the first thing I would tell anybody who is going to get this type of surgery is to go on YouTube and YouTube what a cochlear implant sounds like. And when you guys hang up, if you get a chance, go on YouTube and you can hear exactly what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would tell anybody who has unilateral hearing loss, that's the loss of hearing in one ear without tinnitus, don't get a cochlear implant. And I would tell anybody who's got tinnitus that has unilateral hearing loss, go for it. Get your cochlear implant. It can only improve the quality of your life. And that's really what it's all about, improving the quality of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But without the tinnitus, and I've met a lot. Of course, whenever you go through something like this, you always find, oh, I know a friend or I have a friend, and you contact that person and, you hear their opinions on, what they would have done. But if I didn't have the tinnitus, I would have just lived with the hearing in one ear. But I wouldn't recommend anybody who has unilateral hearing loss with no tinnitus to get a cochlear implant.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, Marc, you are a remarkable person. This is just, as you said, just a few months out. And your life has improved so much. Going to the movies, going out to dinner, engaging other people. You've really, you've given so many people so much hope that they can regain their hearing in a way. And you're just beginning this immersion process.
Absolutely, and I think it's great you guys have a show that you can help people that have these similar problems and give them some sort of hope, and that's really what it's all about, is just trying to help.
Indeed. It
is
is.
trying to help those people out there that are going through the same thing that that we're all going through in life, and you're not going at it alone.
Exactly
That's
right.
the bottom line.
Exactly
Marc, thank
right.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for opening up about your hearing loss, your tinnitus, your cochlear implant experience over the last 2 episodes. And we so admire your tenacity and your willingness to share your experiences just so people know they are not alone. And thank you, Marc. And we just hope your hearing continues to improve and that the mapping is successful. And thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to contact me anytime, anywhere.
Absolutely.
You,
it seems like such a process to really, the mapping is so important because you're retraining your brain how to hear in a different way so that it doesn't, does it ever stop missing the old way once if you had hearing and you've lost it versus never had hearing?
I mean, again, to be able to go out 3 or 4 months later and be able to hear, to go to a movie, to be able to go to a restaurant where a waiter is sitting on my left-hand side, and he's saying something to me and I'm able to pick it up. It's a miracle.
It's a miracle.
It's an absolute miracle.
Yeah.
I mean,
wow.
It's just unbelievable. I mean, like I said, living with the tinnitus and the unilateral deafness in one ear is really, really, really difficult. Really difficult.
And and that in and of itself, the tinnitus would motivate you to do the cochlear implant?
The
Even though,
tinnitus is literally a form of torture.
Mm,
oh,
Just a form of torture. Now, I know there's millions of people out there with tinnitus, but it's all idiopathic. This is not idiopathic. They knew that, once you lose your hearing in your ear, the tinnitus is directly, a direct result of losing the hearing. But there's all these millions of people out there. Every time I tell somebody I had a cochlear implant and I had I have tinnitus. It's like everybody you talk to has tinnitus. My ears are
really?
ringing. Yeah, that's a whole nother place you guys can go into.
are there different levels of tinnitus?
I mean, I can't imagine that the hearing loss tinnitus being any sort of any worse.
Different?
So
Yeah.
tinnitus is really a result of hearing loss. But there's all
Ah,
kinds of people out there that have this, sort of this idiopathic tinnitus where, regardless of whether it's hearing loss, they were around power machines, they went to a lot of rock concerts. I mean, whatever it is, there's all kinds of people out there that suffer from tinnitus.
oh, but I love that now you can go to movies, you can go to concerts, you can go to sporting events, all your favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, it never stopped me before, but again, like I said, it was like being alone. You go to one of these weddings, one of these weddings that starts at 4 and ends at 12, and you're just like, wow, you're alone for 7.5 or 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But
But not anymore.
nope.
That's pretty remarkable, and I'm thrilled for you. Absolutely thrilled.
Thank you, Kathy.
You brought such
Mark,
smile
thank
to my
you.
face.
Thank you. You've given so many people hope, and
I hope
you've
so.
exposed, and I think you've shown
Absolutely.
the way through your courage. And I think your constant exposure to all these tools that will help the brain navigate this new language, I think you are going to get better and better.
Yes, I certainly hope so. And I think it's great what you guys are doing to help people out there in the world that are suffering from, rare diseases.
Oh, well,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
being our guest.
here twice. I mean,
Yes.
you've really been incredibly sharing of all your experiences and what you've been going through, and it really has meant a lot to us. Thank you.
It's my
Thank
pleasure.
you, Mark.
Thank you for listening to this episode of It Happened to Me. We encourage you to learn more at ithappenedtomepod.com. Please use the contact form on our website to submit your guest suggestions, comments, questions, ideas, and feedback for the show. You can also email us directly at ithappenedtomepod@gmail.com. We would really appreciate it if you can leave us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast app like Apple or Spotify. This helps others in the rare disease and medical challenge community find us. It Happened to Me is created and hosted by Kathy Gillenhorn and Beth Glassman. I'm Keir Deneen from DNA Today, and I serve as our executive producer and marketing lead. Amanda Andrioli is our associate producer. Ashlyn Anokian is our graphic designer. And remember, it happened to me. I'm not alone, and neither are you.